Merry Christmas, I got you this video as a gift. Texas is in the playoffs and that's awesome. I always do my team breakdowns before each game, but y'all have been asking for a Texas specific breakdown. So let's dive deep into our favorite squad. What's our strengths? Where can we be exploited? And most importantly, can we get that ever elusive playoff win? Texas is back in the mix after over a decade of struggles. So why is this year's team the one that was able to succeed? Without further ado, let's get into it. Quinn Ewers made a huge jump in his second year starting, going from the 9th ranked quarterback in the Big 12 in 2022 to the second best quarterback in 2023. He went from a 58% completion percentage to 70%, 7.3 yards per attempt to 9 yards per attempt. Ewers coming in as the highest ranked quarterback in the class, most people assumed, even myself, that he'd be slinging the rock all over the place. But he's actually improved due to his ability to manage games. Game manager has a negative connotation, but to me it means a quarterback that efficiently distributes the ball and isn't obsessed with spamming the deep shot like we saw last year. Part of that growth is Quinn keeps the ball safe. He's over 350 passing attempts with only 6 interceptions. All Big 12 quarterbacks that have thrown that much have at least 10 interceptions besides Dylan Gabriel, who ties Quinn with 6. Keeping the ball out of peril is a huge factor of team success, and Quinn has executed that. He's become much more aware of the dangers of risk-taking in year 2, and at times he can actually be a little too conservative. But I'd rather have that than a quarterback making dumb throws repeatedly. Quinn's biggest weakness passing-wise is his lack of deep ball success. Second to last in the Big 12, completing a poor 32.5% on throws over 20 yards. Sometimes it's a wide receiver messing up a route, but generally Ewers is inconsistent putting the ball on the money from depth, and that's a shame with this Texas wide receiver room. Despite what normal fans think when they think of Texas's offense, Quinn actually throws deep balls a relatively low amount, only about 11.5% of the time for third to last in the Big 12. It's not the high-flying passing offense national fans and media guys constantly repeat. Where Texas actually does have its success is Quinn's elite ability in the intermediate range between 10 to 20 yards. He's the first-graded Big 12 quarterback at this distance and third overall in Power 5. Almost half of his touchdowns come from the middle of the field. He has an incredible ability to loft the ball effortlessly with the flick of the wrist at this range. If you really want to stop the Texas passing attack, then you actually need to defend this part of the field, not super deep. Most of Texas's explosive plays begin here, and then the receivers continue to run after the catch. In the short game, Ewers does okay. He throws in that 1 to 10 yard range, a low amount compared to other Big 12 quarterbacks, and is slightly below average in completion percentage. If the RPO is wide open, then Ewers will hit it, but him and Sark seem to be hesitant to do those quick throws as Ewers still doesn't have great vision when there's a lot of defenders near the receiver. A big reason for Quinn's jump in completion percentage in year 2 is he throws a ton of screens, leading the conference in behind-the-line throws. Sark wants to give opportunities to the receivers for yards after the catch and provide rhythm throws for Quinn, but it's also a way to keep corners and safeties moving down towards the line of scrimmage to open up the field behind them. Texas fans know Quinn had some wheels earlier in the season running for huge gains, but then he decided to go heads up with a defensive end in the Houston game, got hurt, and since then he rarely runs. Texas can't afford for him to go down again, especially with Murphy's departure. This forces him to hang in the pocket even more than he usually does, and that highlights one of his weak points in displaying consistent pocket feel. He's the last ranked quarterback in the Big 12 in pressure to sack rate, allowing a super high 28% of his pressures to turn into sacks. So Ewers has improved a ton and he balled out in the Oklahoma State game, but there's still plenty of work to be done when it comes to truly processing defenses, the confidence to make tighter throws in smaller windows, and consistently maneuvering the pocket. Some games he looks comfortable back there, others he doesn't. That streakiness is to be expected as he's still young. If he does return for next season, those will be the keys to him having a dominant year in 2024. And of course, having a stable of NFL receiving threats doesn't hurt either. Texas is 18th in the country in yards per pass and 16th in passing success rate, becoming far more consistent as the year went on. Sark doesn't rotate his pass catchers. You'll see the same 4 out there play after play. Elite speedster Xavier Worthy leads the team in targets for a third straight year with 113, and he's second in the league for overall targets. Worthy's strength is his unreal acceleration. He can get to top speed in a blink of the eye, and that's displayed by his third-ranked yards after catch in the league. He can burn any corner deep, but it rarely pays off, as Worthy is 37th of 42 receivers in pulling down the deep ball. And that's due to some tracking issues and you were struggling at this range. The knock is that he lacks weight, and this can make contested catches hard on him, struggling to hold onto the ball when a defender makes contact at the catch point. It's not a lack of gumption because he's tough as nails. It's just physics, as the 175-pound Worthy is outweighed by 20 plus pounds against most defenders. He can turn short catches into huge gains and allow underneath stuff to open up by decoying him downfield deep, so he can hurt you in different ways. But I think adding another receiving threat this season so he didn't have to be the only guy really allowed him to be a more efficient receiver even when his volume stats did go down. Overall, he's the 14th graded receiver out of 49 in the Big 12. That big addition this season was Georgia transfer Adonai Mitchell, who's second in targets with 78. He has the more traditional number one receiver build and skill set. The 6'4", 196-pound Mitchell has a knack for the big play, able to make some nice grabs at key moments. He's your best red zone receiver, an area Texas struggles in, and they need to target AD even more often there. He leads the team and the league with 10 touchdowns due to that big play ability. Efficient route runner that can make precise steps underneath and the big double moves on the out and up. Game on the line in the playoffs, throw it to AD. Overall, Mitchell is the 11th graded receiver in the Big 12. Third in targets with 59 is the 6'4", 243-pound tight end JT Sanders. A special blend of size and athleticism. He's a matchup nightmare for linebackers and defensive backs. He's not the typical run 5 yards and sit down tight end. Sanders is fully integrated into the vertical offense, and he can hit you for big gains on deep crossers or over the middle. The NFL is excited to get their hands on him. Overall, he's the second graded receiving tight end in the Big 12. Fourth in targets with 50 is a guy that doesn't show up on the stat sheet as often, but Texas fans will know he's a pivotal part of the offense. Senior Jordan Whittington spends his time in the slot, and he does all the little things right. Running correct routes, luring away defensive backs, blocking, and being a good example of the culture. He's rarely the first, second, or even third in the progression, but he's capable, having the fourth highest reception percentage in the league, and he has the athleticism to pick up yards after the catch. Whittington is an excellent option to throw to when defenses are worried about the other three guys. But overall, he's graded 34th of 49 receivers in the conference. The offensive line holds up well in the pass game, even though Ewers can take sacks holding the ball too long. But that's more on Ewers than the protection. They're the first graded offensive line in the conference in unit pass blocking efficiency. 4 of the 5 starters are in the top half in pass blocking, with left tackle Kelvin Banks ranked 4th, center Jank Majors ranked 5th, left guard Hayden Connor ranked 16th, and right tackle Christian Jones ranked 24th of 84 pass blocking offensive linemen. Right guard DJ Campbell is slightly below average at 47th, but overall, this is a solid pass blocking line. Texas's balance, both in terms of personnel and play selection, is what gives the offense juice. Texas isn't elite offensively in any category, but they're good in almost all of them, including the run game. 25th in yards per rush while struggling with rushing consistency, raking a slightly above average 69th. But Texas makes up for that lack of consistent rushing progress with their 23rd ranked rushing explosivity. The biggest bummer of the entire season is when starting running back Jonathan Brooks went down. He's got this deceptively fast, slashing style of running, and he'll gash you several times a game by mixing all that skill with top-tier vision. He's still the third graded running back in the league, but he suffered an ACL injury later in the season, and Texas had to turn to its deep room of running backs to fill the void. Now leading the team in targets is true freshman CJ Baxter with 130 carries. The former 5-star is still learning while he goes, but he has improved throughout the season. He does have a poor 4.6 yards per carry, good for 23rd in the league. Baxter can struggle to continue through contact as well, with a 21st ranked yards after contact per attempt. The athleticism can flash, but he still has a long way to go in developing his vision. Overall, he's ranked 25th of 27 Big 12 running backs. Also new on the scene is the second-year Jaden Blue with 56 carries. He's fast, and if he hits that open hole, he's headed to the end zone. He's a smaller back listed at 6 foot, 191 pounds, but I believe those numbers are quite generous. So the fear was he wouldn't be physical in between the tackles. He's proven everybody wrong though, willing to push the pile on short yardage. He's also posted an upper tier 6.1 yards per carry, but as a young guy, he isn't even close to his ceiling, ranking 19th of 27 backs overall. Finally, you have the vet and the 5'9", 188-pound Keelan Robinson. We haven't seen him on the field much this season, but as soon as you do see him trot out there, Sark is going to use him to score. He has elite quickness, and he can be used in unique ways in the run or the pass to get him into space. He only has 12 carries all year, but he's got 3 touchdowns. A quarter of his attempts end in touchdowns. That's wild. He'd be the 4th-ranked running back in the league if he met the minimum snap requirement. The Texas run blocking does a slightly above average job down to down, ranking 57th in offensive line yards per play. But they do struggle and gotta have it short downs and distances, ranking an awful 126th in the nation in rushing power success rate. Right tackle Christian Jones is the 5th graded run blocker in the Big 12, and left tackle Kelvin Banks is 14th, with center Jake Majors barely making the top half cutoff at 39th. The interior underperforms, with right guard DJ Campbell ranking 45th and left guard Hayden Connor ranking 58th of 84 total run blocking offensive linemen. With no one in the interior performing at a high level, you can see how they struggle getting a push on short yardage. Now, zooming out, looking at the Texas offense overall, they get it done. 13th in points per game, 14th in yards per play, and 14th in offensive points per drive. And really, that's nuts because the Texas offense would be an absolute monster if it didn't have a major flaw. The most glaring offensive weakness is their inability to score touchdowns consistently in the red zone, ranking 90th in the nation in red zone efficiency. If Texas loses either playoff game, the lack of scoring touchdowns in the red zone will be the likely culprit. But even though the national media repeatedly harps on Texas's offense due to Sark's reputation and player name recognition, the other side of the ball is where Texas can really cause damage. But before we hit the defense, this video is brought to you by Rogue Shop. Rogue Shop is a veteran-owned business geared to creating high-quality, natural CBD products. Rogue Shop's handcrafted, locally sourced CBD can help both athletes and fans alike recover from exercise, ease sore or achy muscles, target occasional joint discomfort, and promote more restful sleep. Rogue Shop's beeswax and mango butter topical pain cream is my personal choice to soothe those everyday soft tissue aches. It's a must for every training table and medicine cabinet. Order online from Rogue Shop today and they will give you an automatic 10% off your purchase. Just use promo code TexasHomer, one word, when you visit rogueshop.com and save instantly. Link in the description. The Texas defense has played at a high level this year. 10th in opponent points per game, 24th in opponent yards per play, and 17th in defensive success rate. They keep the per play numbers low, but they excel most in clutch situations, ranking 4th in red zone defense and 1st in the nation on third downs. Texas' defensive success in large part is due to the elite run defense that forces offenses to become one-dimensional and spam the pass. Against the run, Texas is 5th in the nation in yards per rush, 6th in defensive rushing success rate, and 4th in defensive rushing power success rate, standing tall on those short yardage downs. The interior defensive line is the strength of the entire team. T'Vondre Sweat is ranked 1st as the best interior run stopper in all of college football. That's Power 5 and Group of 5 included. Byron Murphy is 8th in the Big 12. Alfred Collins is 14th, and Vernon Broughton is 16th of 53 interior run stoppers. That's the 4 main rotational guys all in the top third. Both starting edges also handle business, with Buck Ethan Burke ranked 4th, and Jack Barron Sorrell ranked 13th of 55 run-stopping edges. At linebacker, Texas has another thumper with starting Mike Jalen Ford rated as the 2nd best run-stopping linebacker in the conference. Rotational Will David Benda is 11th, and starting Will Anthony Hill is 27th out of 45 backers versus the run. At corner, we have guys that'll get into the mix with 3 guys in the top half. Ryan Watts ranks 10th, Terrence Brooks ranks 11th, and Gavin Holmes ranks 21st out of 48 run-stopping corners. At the safety and nickel spot, starting star Jahdae Barron gets active, ranking 6th, and he takes pride in being undersized but still shutting down backs. And freshman Derek Williams ranks 7th. But the remaining safeties aren't top half, with Michael Taft ranking 30th, Keaton Crawford at 46th, and Jaron Thompson at 52nd of 57 run-stopping safeties. Trying to run on Texas has proved time and time again to be a losing game plan. But it'll be fun to see against the best teams in the country if this salty run defense will continue their dominance. The Texas pass rush is pretty good, ranked 41st in the nation in sacks per game, but they are more successful at generating pressures than concrete sacks. The Texas interior pass rush is the deepest in the nation. Texas has the top 3 interior pass rushers in the Big 12, with Byron Murphy ranking 1st, Tavondre Sweat ranking 2nd, and Alfred Collins ranking 3rd. They can sit guards in the center and the quarterback's lap and force them off their spot consistently. But Texas doesn't recreate that success on the exterior. Jack Barron-Sorrell ranks 12th with 38 total pressures and 3 sacks. And Buck, the more pass-rushing focused edge, Ethan Burke, ranks 31st with 24 total pressures and 4 sacks out of 47 Big 12 edges. With the interior pushing quarterbacks into the edges, we should see some higher numbers here. We aren't bad on the edge by any means, but that is the missing piece to supercharge this defense. Texas does utilize its linebackers to generate some extra heat. Anthony Hill has elite closing speed, so he can fire through the A-gap quick, ranking 9th and pulling in 4 sacks. Mike Jalen Ford is most utilized dropping back, but he's still effective here, ranking 10th of 26 pass rushing Big 12 linebackers. The Texas pass coverage gets a lot of flack, some valid, some not. First, Texas faces a ton of passing attempts per game because the team's only been behind like twice all season. So they're 123rd in the nation in opponent passing attempts. It's a lot. So any stats you hear someone say that's a total volume stat like passing yards per game, they're missing the context. If you look at per play numbers, you'll see this unit does a good job, ranking 31st in the nation in opponent yards per pass and 31st again in passing success rate. Texas's struggles come from giving up explosives, ranking 86th in the nation in defensive passing explosivity. This is also usually when Texas is up by a lot and the defense gets a bit lax, but there are some legitimate personnel concerns here. In the pass, will linebacker Anthony Hill ranks 15th, rotational will David Benda ranks 19th, and Mike Jalen Ford ranks 30th of 46 coverage linebackers. And a quick note on that, Ford had an unreal season last year that's going to be hard to reproduce, but he's still really strong following the quarterback's eyes and making interceptions when it counts, even though it's not near his production of last season. In the secondary corner rotation, Manny Muhammad is the highest graded corner on the team as a true freshman, ranking 3rd in the league. Rotational corner Gavin Holmes also has good man skills, ranking 5th. The big 6'3" Ryan Watts ranks 27th, and he can struggle to cover a lot of space, but he's physical and he can lock down guys in the red zone. And finally, Terrence Brooks ranks 36th of 47 Big 12 corners. As the corners transition from more zone principles to more man, we've seen some development there. But remember, playing man is high risk, high reward, and man teams can often surrender the explosive play. But the corners aren't the primary issue in pass coverage. The safeties are the most vulnerable for a few reasons. Jaron Thompson, to fans' surprise, is the first graded coverage safety in the league. He does lack speed to run with guys one-on-one, but he is a veteran that figures out the game as he plays, and he's generally assignment sound. He can start to time quarterbacks as well after some reps, evidenced by his 3 picks on the year. Jahdae Barron, who's our nickel, is grouped with the safeties. He's the 12th ranked coverage DB, another vet who is incredibly sharp and athletic. He can sometimes struggle getting matched up one-on-one with speedier slots like most DBs. But that's it for the top half coverage safeties. Freshman Derek Williams, who's an NFL-level athlete, ranks 28th, but wait till you see him with some years in the system. Former walk-on Michael Taft is 36th, but he's been able to snag 3 picks from being in the right spot. And then finally, Keaton Crawford is 3rd to last of 50 Big 12 coverage safeties. Crawford is an NFL caliber athlete that can do some impressive stuff, but he busts plays far too often for how long he's been in the program. This Texas team is incredibly balanced and can be successful against different styles both on offense and defense. And that's not even to mention Texas has the best punt returner in the nation in Xavier Worthy, elite kickoff coverage, and a money kicker, all adding up to be the second ranked special teams unit in the nation. Texas has some flaws here and there, but this team is the most complete we have seen since the 2000s. I hope you got a good understanding of why this team has the capability to win it all. It's just time to see if they can max out that ceiling. Up next, the Washington Huskies in New Orleans. Thanks for hanging out. Watch some more of my videos here. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you want to support quality Texas content. As always, hook 'em.